Welcome to Pride. You have reached a stop on our Acast Audio Pride Parade, where we travel around the world to hear from our LGBTQ+ creators on what Pride means to them. So grab your whistle, get your face paint on, and settle into a special celebration of Pride. And at the end of this podcast, you'll hear where our Audio Pride Parade is heading next. So stay tuned.
Now, I am very excited to welcome you to our annual Pride special. I am John Iadarola, host of The Damage Report, and occasionally The Young Turks as well. I'm very lucky to be joined first on the program by actress, producer, and advocate Laverne Cox. Welcome to the program.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted to start with you. I mean, we're launching in to Pride Month. What does Pride mean to you, particularly in 2022? What does this month mean to you?
For me, it's always a reminder of how far we've come and how far we need to go. Every year, for the past several years, there have been legislative attacks in state legislatures all over the country. This year, over 200 pieces of legislation have been introduced in state legislatures all over the country, attacking transgender children, their ability to play in sports, mostly trans girls, their ability to access gender-affirming care. Many of these bills that have been introduced have been passed into law in Arkansas, in my home state of Alabama. There's policies in Texas, in Florida, and many states that are criminalizing trans folks getting access to gender-affirming healthcare, banning them from sports, and stigmatizing them. And these families are living in fear and being just treated terribly. I think it's really important when we have conversations. We always, we often hear this cloaked as a culture war, right? We talk about CRT and we talk about the attack on LGBTQ+ folks, and we say culture war. This is really a human rights war. This is a war on human rights, our access to. I mean, for me, I think that just with reproductive rights, a decision about whether a child can access gender-affirming healthcare should be a decision between that child, their parent, and their doctor. Legislators are not doctors. They actually don't know what they're talking about. There are many pundits, both conservative and liberal leaning, who don't know what they're talking about. And it's really no one's business what a trans child is doing with their bodies.
Our two next guests. First, comedian Margaret Cho, and we're also joined by actor and host of the Yes Jesus podcast, Daniel Franzese. Welcome to the show as well. Since this is the launching point, we're launching into Pride Month. I'm gonna start with you, Margaret. What does Pride mean to you in 2022?
You know, I've been attending gay prides since 1978. And so I have met many a memory, you know, the roar of the on bikes that just fills my heart with so much promise and joy for the future. And I think we need it now more than ever. So I'm looking to this Pride to bring some of that energy back, some of that healing energy, that togetherness. It's exciting.
And Daniel?
I just think it's an incredible time to just be an example of love in this world. I love the fact that I think that's the number one thing for LGBTQ people to think about, is to just be an example of love and walk around and just unequivocally be you and be with whoever you want to be with. I think it's an amazing feeling. My first Pride, I was in the closet and working as a bouncer, and it passed by my bar. And now to be somebody who, I live my life out and proud, and it just feels so amazing to be able to see that journey. It's never lost on me.
And now it is time to welcome to the show two guests who are going to be joining us. Lifestyle editor for them, Cáne Lopez, and comedian River Butcher as well. Thank you to both of you. We've been asking each of our guests throughout this hour, whether just generally or specific to 2022, what does Pride mean to you? What does this month-long celebration mean to you? I'll start with you, River.
This time around, this year for me, this month-long celebration, which I do believe in celebrating, is really about like looking back to why Pride started in the first place, and which was a revolt, it was a riot, it was an uprising, and we've been back to those roots for a couple years now in this country, and I think we need to remain connected to those roots. Clearly, with everything that's going on across the country and globally, to have Pride is to remain rooted to revolution and change and liberation for everybody, not just queer folks, but that's where it starts.
And Cáne, what does it mean to you?
Absolutely. Well, it means a lot of PR emails about rainbow tube socks. And more seriously, I have to agree with River. It's really about, for me, finding queer joy amid our fight for liberation and like actively considering how we need to fight against systems of oppression as queer and trans people, against white supremacy, against capitalism, against everything, especially with the year we've had already.
Welcome back to TYT's Pride Month special. I'm Adrienne Lawrence, and I'm very excited now to be joined by two incredible guests who should be very familiar to you. First, we have Plastic Martyr, who is an accomplished entertainer. She's also set to star in a new film called Yellow Bird. And for someone I am also very excited to see, let's talk about Jason Carter. That's right, you know him as the pop culture and entertainment commentator. He also hosts #JasonUnleashed. First, I want to kick off our conversation, and I will hand it over to you, Jason. What does Pride mean to you?
Ooh, that's Adrienne. One, glad to be here. Glad to be back here on the Young Turks celebrating Pride Month. You said it so beautifully, uplifting voices, and that's exactly what Pride means to me. It's uplifting voices because in our community there is so many different wonderful, I would say, threads in that tapestry, right? LGBTQ+, IA, and people who are still exploring their own identities. And for me, Pride is just being vocal, being out there, being unabashed, being unashamed, being very proud, being very present in who you are, and sharing that magic. I grew up in a time where, as a 90s kid, the only thing you saw about LGBTQ+ on TV or in the media was either men of color or gay men dying of AIDS and HIV. You saw violence against trans people. So now I think that it's our responsibility to spread other positive messages to Gen Z, younger millennials, that hey, that's not the reality. It is a reality, but we can also celebrate the beautiful, wonderful elements and strengths that are the LGBTQ+ community. So that's what Pride means to me every year, and it's not just a 1 month thing; it's a 12-month, 365-day, 24-hour-a-day thing. Really,
absolutely. Yeah, that's the only way to roll. I can appreciate that very much. And Plastic, please tell us, what does Pride mean to you?
To me, Pride is just really a way to celebrate who you are as the individual that you are. And no matter where you come from, who you are, what you identify as, I think it's important to have pride and to show that to the world. And Pride is just a great, again, we have Pride Month, but really I think we need to continue our Pride longer than just a month. And there's such an attack on us right now, and it's really important to not let your pride be diminished.
Now we have two Rebel HQ contributors. That's Rayyvana, host of Reactions on TYT's Twitch, and Ben Carollo, host of Galaxy Brain. Thank you both so much for joining us. I would love to ask you, Ben, first, what does Pride mean to you?
Pride to me is really about confrontational joy, which is it should be revolutionary in and of itself. It should be you rejecting the system as it is today and demanding a new one that is not you accommodating other people, right? It is society having to accommodate your existence, right? Because really, queer folks throughout history, especially obviously in the colonial world, have really been expected to tailor their entire existence towards cishet folks around them. And Pride is really about trying to flip that on its head and basically just creating a space and a moment where all of these systems and structures aren't allowed to define or shape who you are.
Yes, absolutely. The ability to define yourself for yourself, that is incredible and powerful and part of our own humanity. And so Rayyvana, can you tell me, what does Pride mean to you?
Yeah, I think Ben really hit the nail on the head there, because Pride is a time of self-acceptance, but it's also a time to do it loudly and very publicly, and a demand from the world really that same acceptance that we find within ourselves. And it's a time of celebration, but it's also a time of protest and a time of revolution. I mean, Pride Month is in June for a reason, and we honor all of the LGBTQIA+ activists that came before us, but we have to continue that fight because the work is not done.
Our next stop on the Acast Pride Parade takes us all the way to Bordeaux, France, where the Les Enfants Vont Bien podcast, or in English, the Kids Are Fine podcast, is ready to celebrate all things Pride. Listen to their special episode airing tomorrow, June 14th. Enjoy.
Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.